Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. I'm Debbie Levitt from dcx, and welcome to the every Wednesday Ask Me Anything. Hello, Ana Lucia. Always good to see you. And all of you out there in Twitch land, YouTube land, and LinkedIn land. This is my every Wednesday show to answer your questions or talk about the topics that are on your mind. And just like our dcx Hive community, all questions are welcome. We can talk about your work. We can talk about more personal things. You can bring up anything you like. The advice is free and hopefully worth at least what you're paying. So join us, won't you? We have a Discord community that's totally free. I also do coaching if that can help you in any way in your personal or work worlds. And follow us on Twitch. So you can ask your question live in the chat room. It'll pop up on the screen. I'm pointing at everything. Or you can send it anonymously at dcx.to/Q. Q for question, and then I will capture it and I will put it up on the screen and I will do my best to give you an answer. I did not get any questions ahead of time today, so if you have a question, yours will be probably first. So join on in, and if you're just watching along, tell me, let's see, what are you eating? How are you doing? What's going on for you? And of course, if you have any question at all about work or non-work stuff, send it in. Or if there's a topic on your mind that you want to discuss, we're here to talk about it. So go ahead and share your topics, your thoughts. If we don't get anybody giving us a topic in the next 5 or 10 minutes, we'll wind down and we'll be back next week with Dr. Nick. He will be making a special appearance. Let's see if the weather allows me to stick around. There's a massive storm. Oh, okay. I better check the weather here. Let's see. I don't think we're experiencing anything, but let's see. Oh, okay, I can see the storms over Portugal now. Yep. So hopefully Ana Lucia stays safe. And, I see lightning. I've got a weather app that vibrates, does haptic feedback for lightning. So I know somewhere there is lightning. So stay safe, Portugal people. Sorry, it's green screening out the green part. So that's it. I'm just here to answer your questions. And, oh no, you woke up to lightning. Yeah, that's always scary. And sometimes you have to unplug stuff because if you don't have great wiring in your house, you can end up frying stuff with the lightning and the storm. So, hopefully you will stay safe and warm and comfy. Let's see. I'm going to poke around and check if we're live on the LinkedIn. It says we are. Hello, LinkedIners. Hello, Twitchers. I see a few people live on YouTube. I see a few people live on Twitch. And it usually doesn't show me LinkedIn. I have to go press a lot of buttons. Let's take a look. Okay. LinkedIn says... Okay, LinkedIn is live and nobody's watching there. Oh, no, 3 people watching there. Cool. So we've got a little audience between Twitch and YouTube and LinkedIn. So I'm here for you. Is there something on your mind? You've joined my show. Is there something you want to talk about? All topics welcome. You can put them in the chat. It'll come up on the screen, or you can send them anonymously. That comes into my email, dcx.to/Q. Sometimes it comes in slowly, so I will always announce when I am seeing a new question come in. But otherwise, you can just post it in the chat and it'll pop up. Ana Lucia says, it was like 6 a.m. It ended up falling nearby. Nothing happened on my street. Okay. Good to stay safe. So any questions, any topics? What is on people's minds? Surely something is on your mind. Is something bothering you? Or do you have excellent news? Maybe there's something you're really happy about that you want to share. All topics welcome, even storms over Portugal. Okay, so I'm already here about 5 minutes, and I'll give it about 5 more minutes. If we don't get a question by then, we'll just wrap it up. And quick note, if you do send something in to dcx.to/q, and if it comes in after the show ends, I will grab it and keep it and hold it tight and save it for next week. So your question will be answered. I don't ignore them, but sometimes they come in after the show ends and we just get it ready for next week. If it's really on fire, join our Discord, find the right channel for it, and ask there. All right, Ana Lucia has a question. Let's copy paste that and talk about it. And if you're watching, you can give your answer as well. Maybe you have an answer for the question, and we can see what other people think. This is sort of a conversation. All right, let's put this up on the screen. There we go. Ana Lucia says, do you have any routine around job applications or interviews? For example, do you send a thank you note, as some people suggest, or follow-ups? Yeah, that is a good question, and I know that certainly job interviews are on people's minds a lot. I have had some interviews lately. I definitely do send thank you notes. I try to, hey, Mystery, hope you're going to be here on Friday for karaoke stream, 11 a.m. Brooklyn time. Put in your requests now. I've prepared a bunch of obscure songs, but I want to know what you want to hear. So back to the question we've got here on the screen. I definitely am a thank you note sender. Also, at the end of the conversation, I usually try to ask what's the next step, or when might I expect to hear back from you? Is there a good time when I should follow up again? Like, if I don't hear from you first, when could I follow up again? And sometimes they say, oh, please don't write to us. Or sometimes they say, oh, if you don't hear from me in a week, you can follow up. Oh, okay, thank you. And so typically I'll just send a thank you email after that. Thank you so much. Maybe something I enjoyed about the conversation. Hopefully I did enjoy the conversation. And then I put a note in my system, usually in my calendar, a week later to follow up with them so I don't forget. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't happen. And so, yes, I do send a thank you note, and I usually will follow up, but I usually don't follow up more than twice, because I assume if you didn't respond to my first one, we might be done. You might just be ghosting me. If it's something I really love, I'll send a second follow-up. Sometimes I don't send a second follow-up, but usually these are spaced out. Like, it might be a week later, and then the second follow-up might be a week or two after that. I have a note in my system right now to follow up with a few people in January, because I think that it's coming to that end of the year time where, even though they were interested in working with me, they're probably not going to get the budget or a new agency project until the new year. And it doesn't make sense for me to bother them through October and November. I do use Monday.com for these things. You can use anything you want. You can use a scrap of paper. You can write whatever you want on it. So, so I do. I do try to prepare for interviews. I do try to look at the company a little bit. I don't want them to say, oh, do you have a sense of what we do? And I don't want to be like, no, what do you do? Then it just sounded like I don't care. So I do try to research them a little bit. Sometimes go on LinkedIn and see, do they have UX workers? Who seems to be on the team? Where are they located? What level are these people? So I do a little bit of prep work for sure. And then, I am definitely a thank you note and follow up later person, unless they specifically say, oh, no, don't follow up with us. We'll let you know if you're selected or shortlisted. Then I go, okay, oops. And then I make a note, don't follow up with them. And I just leave it at that. And sometimes you hear from them and sometimes you don't. But yeah, thank you. That's a good question. Did I cover all the things you were hoping I would cover? Do you have a follow-up question for that? Let me know. But that is a good one. Let's see. Yes. Hello, this is Ask Me Anything. I do it every Wednesday, and we can talk about any topics that any of you like or are curious about. I have an audition tomorrow. That's what I call it. You know, I come from music, so I think of things as auditions. There is a instructor from my coaching school who has her own coaching company. I think I would be perfect for it. I'm so excited. But part of the process is we do a sample coaching session where I coach her. She acts as the client. I act as the coach. She paid for it. Thank you. I said I'll offer it for free. She said, no, I value your time. I want to pay for it. Okay, please do. Thank you. And so that's tomorrow night. So I'm very excited because I would really like to work with this person, and her company sounds like a match for me. And it would really be coaching. It would really just be coaching people both on the life coaching side of things and on the business advising side. So fingers crossed for me. Ana Lucia says, I have to step up my game. I haven't been getting interviews, but I didn't think a thank you note or follow-up would help. I imagine you only do that if you get the interview. Yes, typically I do that if I get the interview, or if someone acts like, hey, we want to talk to you for some reason. Then I'll make sure that conversation gets scheduled, and sometimes that does require a little nudging or a follow-up. So yes, I'm usually following up if I get the interview, or if someone says, hey, we want to talk to you about whatever it is. We want to talk to you about speaking at our conference or working with us or whatever it is. So then I'll put them in my Monday.com board, and I will put a note to myself to check in with them. Like even the person with the coaching, I had invited her to book with me, and then she at first didn't, but she's also very busy and pregnant. And so I followed up a few days later, and I said, hey, thanks for last week's call. I'm still hoping you might schedule that. And then she did. So, but yes, I generally don't follow up with any company that has not communicated with me. So if I've applied, but I haven't heard from a human, I haven't had an interview, there's no communication, I don't follow up. I just assume I'm not being considered and I'm being ghosted, and it's not worth my time to chase after somebody who isn't acting like they're even a little bit interested. So I'm looking for someone else to be even a little bit interested, and then I'll put them in the board and I will follow up with that. So good follow-up question. But yeah, and it might not be a matter of stepping up your game, because we know that it's hard to get an interview right now. I barely apply to jobs right now. I mean, even though I don't have a job right now, and I am looking, open to work circle. Most of the jobs that I see that I qualify for are hybrid or on-site, and that disqualifies me immediately. So I'm not applying. I think I applied for 2 things in the last few weeks. I have low expectations, but luckily, once my contract was ended, some people have been making some introductions, so I'm having some interesting conversations, but nothing yet. Somebody from the community wanted to put me in at her company for a job. I think I mentioned it in the Discord. It's a remote job where they want to meet with me in Los Angeles once or twice a month. I'm sorry, but that's not a remote job. Sounded like a great job. Sounded like a great job for me. I was genuinely excited about it, but I'm not coming to Los Angeles at all, let alone once or twice a month. JNNRSS, not sure how to pronounce that. Jenners, I don't know. Early in my career, I followed up applications in the past, but in general, they've not been super well received. I know recruiters recommend it, but I disagree with them on that after getting burned. Can you give us an example, if you're comfortable talking about it, what getting burned looked like? Was it that you followed up and then you were ghosted, or someone was angry that you followed up, or and did this happen a lot? Like, I don't totally have a sense of what happened. It just sounds like it was bad, and it makes you not want to follow up with anybody. And again, that's also okay. I mean, hypothetically, if the company is interested in you, they're going to get in touch. Following up might not make a difference depending upon what it is. I followed up with a hiring manager and she bluntly told me off for doing it. Yeah, that seems unreasonable. I think if you applied and you had an interview and you spoke to that person, I don't think it's bad or wrong to check in with them to see if you are still being considered. If you did not have an interview and they did not communicate with you, and you track them down on LinkedIn and you ask them about your application, that I think I can see that person not liking just after applying. I always follow up after interviews. Yeah, I think following up after applying is probably something I wouldn't recommend. Recruiters recommend following up after applications. I don't. Not unless it's very personal. Not unless I say, hey, Ana Lucia, I want you to work for me, apply for this thing. Okay, that's a very human connection. She should apply and follow up. But I think when we're just throwing our resume or CV into an online form or into a giant cauldron, it doesn't make sense to follow up because who are we? We're just on a pile. They might not even look at it. So yeah, Ana Lucia said, I'm not applying for everything either. Some companies show red flags after I start researching them. I'm not looking for the perfect job in this day and age, given the circumstances, but I try to avoid red flag companies. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's okay to have some standards. Even though all of us want to find a job and keep a job, it's still okay to have some standards, and not everything is going to pass those standards. I get it. Let me just make sure my email's open so I don't miss any anonymous questions coming in. If anybody wants to ask an anonymous or long question, or you just want to send a topic to talk about, how do you point at a green screen? It's over here. dcx.to/q. But if anybody has any other follow-up thoughts or questions on follow-up questions on follow-ups for job applications and things like that. As I said, I mostly tend to follow up when some sort of personal connection has been made. I generally don't follow up on applications to websites. I don't track down hiring managers or HR people or recruiters on LinkedIn and ask them to look at my stuff. The end. Yeah. So, but again, everyone has different recommendations. Everyone has different suggestions, and the times are changing. As Jinners, I don't know how you want me to say that, pointed out, in years ago, it was a good idea to follow up after you applied because you might have been one of 20 applications and you're hoping yours would be noticed. But now you might be one of 500 applications in the first 3 hours, and people don't want to get emails from 500 people following up on 500 applications. So we can understand that. It's okay. It's a whole, my mother-in-law is sighing again, and there's nothing we can do about that. Sensitive microphone. Ana Lucia says, I think I may have made a mistake with a personal connection then, if we consider what you said, but I'll do better next time we picked up contact again. Yeah, do you want to talk about what that was? Because I'm not sure. Maybe you didn't make a mistake. I'm curious what you did or didn't do. But again, when I feel like I have a personal connection with someone, I at least want to try to see if I'm going to the next round. And sometimes, and remember, I only follow up once or twice and then I stop. If I stop hearing from people, I give up. It's not like I keep following up until they say something. Then I just look like a unhealthy person. So typically I'm only following up once or twice based on the relationship, based on how far along we seem to have gotten in the process. So that's usually it. But again, in general, if they're interested in you, you should be hearing from them. Check your spam filter. You never know when something important is hiding in your spam filter. So that's a good idea. Also, especially when you've been applying, check for stuff in your spam filter to make sure maybe someone has written to you and you don't want to have missed a reply. Hi, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. Any thoughts or questions from any of you? I am here to talk about the topics that are on your mind and to take your questions, and all questions are welcome, and this service is free. And we do it every Wednesday. Ana Lucia says, I thought I was ghosted, and I was like, well, okay, I guess they didn't have the budget or wasn't approved, so I didn't follow up. But the person seemed to be clueless about how the whole process was at the moment, and when I reached out in an informal setting, they said they were going to investigate. Yeah, that happens sometimes. You know, like I had a freelance client back in June, and they didn't pay me on time, and so, of course, I reached out. And it turned out that somebody's manager had quit, and then my invoice fell into a black hole and nobody had approved it and nobody noticed. How do you know when the finance department isn't paying someone? So I think that it's okay to follow up, but you just have to decide how many times. And again, usually for me, it's only once or twice. And with something like Ana Lucia's situation, sometimes I might wait a week or so, and then I might get back to that person and say, hey, I had a great interview, or I was excited about that conversation, or this seems like a good match. I hadn't heard from anybody, and I just wanted to check in. I was curious what might be the next step. Because the next step might be we don't want you. The next step might be we're pausing interviewing people. The next step might be we offered it to someone else. And so what's the next step? Or I'm curious what might be the next step is a nice gentle sentence that we can ask people and hopefully find out what is the next step. And of course, if we don't hear from people, I usually just let it go. I heard from someone a couple of months ago, and he said, oh, hey, you were talking to my manager about doing some work with our company, and I'm taking over that project, and he's no longer with us. And I went into my Monday.com board, and I was like, I haven't heard from these people in a year. You know, I followed up once or twice, and then I stopped. And now they're trying again to get some budget for me. That would be great. In this case, the next step was to be contacted by HR, and they didn't, and the person didn't know they didn't. Right. We never know when something is supposed to happen and it doesn't. So that's why I try to end a lot of these interviews or conversations with a sense of what's the next step, or when might I hear from you next? And is it okay if I follow up with you? And someone might say, oh, the next step is 3 more interviews with different team members. Okay, and when might I hear back to see if I'm making it to that round? Oh, we plan to decide by the end of next week. Okay, so if I don't hear from you by the start of the week after that, may I check in with you? Oh, okay, I guess that would be okay. Sure, check in with us. So you can see I'm trying to use some very gentle questions and sentences to try to figure out what is the next step, who might I expect to hear from, when could that be, and would it be okay if I follow up? Yeah, and I think I think there are ways to accidentally or on purpose sound desperate, and I think gentle questions and short emails are the way to go. When I follow up, I am not writing a long email. Usually I'm writing a short email like, hi, I really enjoyed my conversation with so-and-so about a week ago. I'm just curious if I'm still being considered for the position and what might be the next steps. Yeah, thanks. And sometimes they write back, oh, we ended up picking somebody else. And I go, oh, okay, thank you for letting me know. But I don't think a 2-sentence email sounds desperate. I think it can sound light and friendly and hi, any news kind of thing. So I think just keeping it light and friendly is a good way to go. You certainly wouldn't want to say, hey, I had that interview last week and I was supposed to hear from HR and nobody got back to me and I don't even know what's going on. I think there are ways to even accidentally sound a little bit aggressive or desperate. And to me, it's just writing a simple, friendly email. Hello. Thanks again for the conversation last week. I enjoyed it. I'm excited about the possibility of working there. I'm curious if I'm still on the short list and what might be the next steps. Thank you. 2 sentences. Keep it short. You don't have to be like, and I'm great for the job for these 72 reasons. And my feeling is if they want me, they'll let me know. And sometimes people write to me and they go, oh my gosh, it was buried in my email. Oh, I didn't even know. Yes, we wanted to get back to you. Let's schedule the next call. Good thing I followed up. Sometimes I never hear from them again. Okay, I tried. But to me, short emails. Hello. Thanks so much for the call last week. I'm really excited about possibly working with your coaching company. I think it's a great match. I know our next step was for you to schedule a sample coaching session with me. Here's a link to my calendar. Please do that when you get a chance. Thank you. So, yeah, short, friendly, expecting nothing. Hi, we talked about this. We're thinking about this for the next step. What can I do to move that along? Yeah, so other than that, at this point in the year, like I said, my Monday.com board is mostly bugging people in January. Very often people don't get new projects or new budgets, around Christmas and such, and that's coming up fast. Excuse me. I was so excited for the opportunity. I was even having a hard time trying to rein myself a bit, but nothing had been confirmed. I assumed I was being ghosted. These are also great topics for our Discord community. You can always start a work on my mind topic or a job hunting topic and say, gee, here's what happened. I had this personal connection. I had this interview. They made it sound like next I was going to hear from HR, but it's been X number of days and I haven't heard from anybody. What would all of you do? I'd certainly respond and try to help, and other people would probably respond. So please remember, everybody, you are welcome to lean on the Discord community. It's free for this type of stuff because we're here to help each other out. So, it's a work topic. Grab a work channel and post something. It's a personal topic. Grab a personal channel and post it. So I think it's a good idea to have us help each other as much as possible. But so, Ana Lucia, what's the news on that? Are you still being considered? Is the job still open? Did something happen? Are you still waiting to hear? Now I'm curious, lad. Like, we're missing the next part of the story. The market is horrible. I assume the worst. Yeah, and I think that having low expectations is healthy. Healthy boundaries, healthy. But that doesn't mean that we assume that after an interview, we should hear nothing. And again, if they want to ghost us and they don't want to reply, they'll ghost us even after we write a follow-up. But I'll still write one follow-up and see if they're still considering me. And sometimes people write me back days later. They're just that busy. And that's okay too. We must remember we are not on the top of everybody's mind. And so we just have to have some expectations that maybe they'll get back in touch. Maybe they'll ghost us. Maybe the job's already been given to someone else. But I'll try. I'll write one follow-up. I'm hoping to hear from this person again. They're going to investigate what happened. For all matters, the whole story may have been dropped. HR never even told them. Yeah, it's hard to I've been in those positions too, where somebody recommends me to a company and someone's supposed to contact me and talk to me, and somehow it doesn't happen, and they don't know what happened, and they recommended it, and no one can track it. And so I've seen this before, and it does happen. So, yeah. Like I said, I often put these things, that's a wacky little emoji. I often put these things in my calendar as a reminder, or in my Monday.com board, just to say, okay, on January 8th, write to this person and see how they're doing. Like, I have a column in my Monday board that says follow-up date, and I put a date in there, and then I have an automation that says when that date arrives, email myself. And basically, I send myself an email and I go, don't forget to contact so-and-so about the thing. And then I either do it and I mark it as done, or I move the date out and I get another reminder that day. So, yep. So yeah, exactly what happened. These things happen. And again, sometimes it's nobody's fault. Things get disorganized. Somebody thought somebody else told someone. Somebody thought somebody else was doing it. It didn't happen. These things can happen even with the best of intentions. So good to follow up, because sometimes people don't even know it's fallen through the cracks, as you found out. Yes. So hopefully, yeah, sure. And again, how does anybody know that you haven't been contacted? It's so hard for anybody to know that or follow up. And so it is a good idea. And again, even if you only follow up once and then you let it go, that's okay too. I do not recommend a lot of follow-ups. I just don't. Hello, people on LinkedIn and Twitch and YouTube. Hello on YouTube if you're watching this later. Thank you so much for watching the archives. I am here to answer your questions and give whatever advice I can. Hopefully it's worth at least what you're paying, and all questions and topics are welcome. They can be work-related, they can be personal-related, totally up to you. The Delta CX Hive, I should point at it, is about supporting you on your path, whatever path that is and wherever it's headed. So work paths, life paths, personal paths, we're here to help. I thought there was a company process going on and they would inform that person if something happened. Apparently not. Yet you never know. Who knows what happened or where that communication broke down? Do not know. So we'll wait a few minutes to see if anybody else has any other questions today. Otherwise, we can certainly wrap up early. Sometimes I stay here an hour if we get a lot of questions. Otherwise, I'll certainly be back next Wednesday. You can always check the events calendar, dcx.to/events, for all the stuff that's coming up. I'm not scheduling any Tuesday shows right now since we're going to come into that holiday season where people are just not paying attention, but I will be doing the Wednesday streams here, the Ask Me Anythings, and I will be doing some karaoke streams in the hopes of entertaining everybody. Pardon my language, but that's kind of shitty from the HR people, says Ana Lucia. At least they could have said something to that person, but they didn't know anything at all. Yeah, sometimes you don't even know what you don't even know, and I would just say, let it go. Hello, Linda. Always good to hear from you. How's your world? How's your new book going? I don't know, MSS Bookmas. Is that like Christmas? So my new book is going well. It's already a little longer than I hoped, and I'm not done writing it, but Linda will be hired as an editor for sure. I am hoping I will be done with the book this month, but I honestly don't know, and I'm not going to pressure myself. I would love to publish it in January or February. No pressure, but I'm not going to publish it this year. Oh, manuscript. Yeah. I think I'm at 65,000 words, and it is a business book. So just for comparison, it's going to be the same size as Customers Know You Suck. And of course, matching spine design. This is, 125,000 words. And my new book is currently at 65,000 words. So it's half the size of this. I'm hoping it won't go above 70. I really want to keep it on the shorter but appropriate business book size. Ana Lucia says, I kind of don't want to let it go. My fit was like 200% for several reasons, but at the same time, my brain says, don't get that attached. Yeah, very true for job applications, and I feel that way a lot. I only apply to things I think I'm an excellent match for, and but I try to not feel attached. I try to not have too many expectations. I assume I'm probably going to be rejected, and so I try to keep the vibe smooth about it and not worry myself and not get too torn up if they don't want to interview me or don't want to continue with me. There's just too much competition out there. You could be perfect, but then so could 30 other people, and it's just a numbers game. But thank you to Linda for asking about the new book. Please don't forget last year's book, everybody, Life After Tech. It's about what might we do when we feel done with tech or tech is done with us. How's it going in your world, Linda? I guess I can put that on the list of questions we talked about. Oh. Okay, now it's on the list. Yeah, I'm excited about my new book. I feel like it's a good logical follow-up to Customers Know You Suck, but then there's a lot of new ideas in there as well. So, yeah. Are you only focusing on the product microfit, or are you talking about meso and macrofit? Yeah, all three of them. The whole book. Believe me, if I only had 65,000 words, if I had 65,000 words about micro only, that would be a mess. No, it's really about everything, and about kind of looking at these three levels in everything that we're doing with our products and services and our features and our interactions and touch points. So it's going to be 3 levels of everything. I just wrote 3 levels of pivoting. Was a section I wrote the other day. I was also thinking about, what was I writing the other day? There was something I was writing about, something that had macro fit, but terrible meso, really messed it up at that meso mid-level. So the book is going well. I feel good about it. It's Debbie style, which Claude liked and ChatGPT didn't. I'm sorry, Gemini didn't. I am not having Claude write the book, but I am running some of my things by Claude for some early editor feedback, some early content feedback. Are you going to include how to make a service design blueprint? Kind of no, because the angle I'm taking is that I assume the reader is probably not a researcher. I'm assuming the reader is probably a leader, executive, or a product manager, or in a product manager type of role. And I'm still not writing the book that says how to make a service design blueprint. I am taking some very different approaches to this stuff. Will you be adding how to scale while keeping product fit properly? Yes, in a way. I do talk a bit about growth. I do talk a bit about that. It's mostly from the perspective of getting that continual, especially qualitative feedback from customers, continually understanding the market, continually understanding competitors and potential competitors can help us grow what we offer or grow into new markets, because there's many ways to scale. And so I am covering these types of things, even though I may or may not have used the word scale a lot. Linda is giving me this, but YouTube is delayed 45 seconds, so I don't know what that was for. Linda, do you know what that was for? Context, everybody. Oh, or is that like a grumpy face because I'm not going to tell people about a service design blueprint? I haven't decided that yet. I should say there's a lot of things in the book that hint at service design, but I also know if I start going more deeply into service design, the book could end up twice as long. And part of me would rather say, look, I'm talking about service design. Service design is important, but I don't have to write the book about service design. Service design is out there. Go learn this thing, versus me trying to write the book on service design. So I'm definitely going to be talking about service design and recommending that people get into it, and recommending that people hire researchers and hire service designers, because not everybody is good at everything. Not everybody knows how to do everything. And there's a lot of this stuff you can't do with AI. But I am unlikely to say, here's how to do service design. So I hope that made sense. Thoughtful about what the new book will be. Sounds like stuff I'm less familiar with. Yeah, so some of it you will feel familiar with, because some of it is a repackaging of human-centered design and double diamond stuff, but then some of it is new and different. So I would say some of it will look familiar, and some of it might be new. That's what I was going to suggest. Hiring recommendations for each step. Who's qualified to help? Yes, I definitely have a chapter where I say, look, this is what an optimal process looks like. This is who should own this stuff. This is who should do this stuff. And I'm going to include, where could AI help us here, and where could AI deceive us here? So there's definitely going to be a chapter where we walk through what an optimal process would look like. But like my other books, it's following the same pattern, where I start out with kind of foundational information and defining some things so we're all on the same page. Then I'm spending some chapters talking about where we're getting it wrong and how to stop doing those bad things. And basically the point the book makes is, look, even if you can't do the process that I recommend in part 3 of the book, even if you're in a crappy job or at a crappy startup and you cannot change the process, there's still a lot of stuff that we're doing badly or not at all that could be changed even a little bit. I'm trying to help people see the cracks and the open doors where they can try to make a better decision than they did last time, or do a little bit more than they did last time, or do something less terribly, and so I'm trying to take it from the perspective of, hey, here's my process, but you can do none of this. Even if you read part 2 about what we're doing wrong and how to stop doing those things, even if you just do a few fewer of those, that should be noticeably different. That there should be a difference, and that should help, even if you can't say, oh, okay, this is our new process, where at a lot of companies you can't. A better decision is always hiring someone qualified instead of expecting the intern to do his job of 6 people. Yeah, I don't tell this story in that book, and I don't think I've told it in any of my books, but my first job out of college was the office manager at a very small company. And I always complained that I was doing the work of 3 people, and they always gaslit me and made me feel like I just wasn't working hard enough, and I wasn't working enough hours, and I needed to work more, which of course they weren't going to pay me for. They just wanted me to do more work. And after I finally quit, and then a couple of years later, I followed up with them. I said, hey, how's it going? Just thinking of you. How's business? They said, we replaced you with 6 people. and our business has boomed. And I was like, cool. And they said, and by the way, we took all, once you left, we took all of your advice. And I was like, okay, cool. So I think my book is going to feel familiar to some people, fresh and weird, fresh to other people, weird to other people. But I'm hoping, if nothing else, it's going to give us a new way to talk about some of these things at our jobs, in our projects, because there's just so much companies are getting wrong. There's money they're leaving on the table. There's unhappy customers, and there's increasing competitors, especially as people say, I need that? I'll have AI do it. Well, then your company has to make something better, or you're going to lose to, why don't I just have Claude do that for me? And that's a good question. I cover that in one of the chapters. What can AI cannibalize what you're doing? Are people going to look at you and go, why should I pay for that? I'll just tell Claude to do it. They're completely overworking you. Yes, that old story from the 1990s. And possibly trying to make you do things you weren't qualified to do, but they needed it and didn't want to hire someone. Yeah, it's not so much that I wasn't qualified to do these things. I was kind of in a weird space where I was kind of naturally good at them and mostly getting them right, even though I was 21 and kind of, figuring it out as I went. So in the end, I felt qualified, and I was giving them strategic business advice at age 21, and they didn't want to take it because they thought I was just a kid. And then after I quit, they took it, and they like tripled their business. So it was like, told you so. So, I've been helping people with business strategy for quite some time, and it usually goes well, especially when people listen and try the things I say. Imagine that. Don't forget Friday karaoke stream, 11 a.m. East Coast USA time on Friday, 5 p.m. Italy time. I have prepared some new songs that I had that I homemade, stripping the vocals off, and one of them is Unpack Your Adjectives. I expect Mystery to lose her mind, and possibly Linda to snap and clap along. Unpack Your Adjectives. Name that tune. I expect Europeans to have no idea what I'm talking about. And I expect Americans of a certain age to be thrilled. Either way, it's a fun and cute song, and I hope people will join the stream and listen along just for kicks. Hey, it's free, and I always stream to LinkedIn and Twitch. I cannot stream to YouTube because they would copyright strike me, which means it is also not archived there because they would copyright strike me. And is also not archived on Twitch because they will literally replace songs that you don't own with silence. No, thank you. Yeah, so I don't see any emails coming in today. So if people are asking anonymous stuff, it's not coming in. You might have to ask in chat. You can always send something any time of day or night. dcx.to/q, and we will capture it and hold it and save it for a Wednesday. If anybody has any other topics, speak now. And other than that, I hope to see everybody on at the karaoke stream Friday at 5. We are going to be silly. And I got a new compressor plug-in, and I think my mic is sounding good. And in the booth, and got my colored lighting ready to go. I'm ready to put on a show for you for free. Okay, so I will press the ending music button and the end of show button. So thanks to everybody for the topics and questions and good conversation. And again, I hope to see everybody Friday, 5 p.m. Italy time, 11 in the morning New York time, for a fun and silly karaoke stream that will be on Twitch and LinkedIn only, not on YouTube because of copyright matters. Have a great rest of your day or evening, and I'll see everybody soon. Thanks.